The signal from beyond. The Meridian science vessel Luminous Inquiry drifted peacefully through the nebula, its crystalline hull refracting the surrounding gases into a spectacle of colors. Captain Nilara stood on the observation deck, her iridescent skin shifting through shades of blue and green as she admired the cosmic display. Four slender arms worked in perfect coordination across the holographic control panel as she adjusted the vessel's sensors. "Captain, the spectral analysis is complete," announced First Observer Thalen, their voice melodic and gentle. "The mineral composition is exactly as we predicted. This nebula will provide excellent material for the new colony's atmospheric stabilizers." Nilara's face frills rippled with satisfaction. The Meridians had evolved on a world of perfect harmony. No seasons, no predators, no resource scarcity. Their civilization had developed accordingly, advancing through curiosity and cooperation rather than competition or conflict. War was a concept they understood only in theoretical terms, something primitive species might engage in before reaching enlightenment. "Excellent work," Nilara responded. "Begin collection procedures. The Council will be pleased with our—" The ship suddenly shuddered, a sensation so alien that several crew members froze in confusion. Meridian vessels simply did not experience turbulence. "Status report," Nilara called, her frills now rigid with concern. Communications Officer Velen's skin had paled to a sickly white. "Captain, 3 unidentified vessels have entered the nebula. They're approaching rapidly, and I'm detecting energy signatures unlike anything in our database." The main view screen shifted to show 3 asymmetrical ships, their hulls dark and angular, covered in protruding structures that reminded Nilara of the crystalline predator plants displayed in Meridian museums of evolutionary history. "Open communications," Nilara ordered. "Standard greeting protocol." Velon worked the console. "Channel open, Captain. Broadcasting our welcome message in mathematical communication primers." Long moments passed. The dark ships continued their approach, now close enough that details became visible: scorched hull plating, strange symbols painted in red, and most disturbing, what appeared to be weapon ports opening along their flanks. "No response to our greeting," Velon reported, voice trembling. "And they've accelerated." "They must not understand," Nilara reasoned. "Perhaps their communication systems are incompatible with ours. Continue broadcasting." And a blinding flash erupted from the lead vessel. Moments later, the Luminous Inquiry quaked violently as something struck its unshielded hull. Alarms blared throughout the ship, another entirely new experience for the crew. "We've been damaged," reported Engineering Officer Salmon, struggling with the unfamiliar concept. "Some kind of energy weapon has breached the outer hull in Section 12. Emergency containment fields are activating." Nilara's mind raced. This couldn't be happening. Violence against another sentient species violated every principle of civilized space. Every advanced race knew this. Yet the evidence was unmistakable. They were under attack. "More energy signatures detected," Velon called out. "They're launching smaller craft." The view screen showed sleek, predatory shuttles emerging from the larger vessels, accelerating toward the Luminous Inquiry. "They're targeting our docking bay," Salmon reported with disbelief. Nilara made the only decision possible for a Meridian captain. "Send the emergency distress signal to the Galactic Concord. Include all sensor data on the attackers." The Meridians had never needed weapons or military tactics. Their entire interstellar presence operated under the protection of the Galactic Concord, an alliance of 48 peaceful species who shared their values. Concord peacekeepers would respond to their distress call. They just needed to survive until help arrived. "Signal prepared according to Concord emergency protocols," Velon confirmed. The main view screen showed the attacking ships growing larger. The Luminous Inquiry had no weapons, no meaningful shields beyond radiation protection, and no way to defend itself. Their fastest speed would not outrun the approaching vessels. "Transmit now," Nilara ordered. Velen's fingers danced across the console. Then the officer froze, head tilted in confusion. "Captain, there's something wrong with the transmission." The acknowledgement came back on a frequency I've never seen, and a response code. "What does that mean?" Nilara asked, a cold sensation spreading through her body. "I think our signal was misrouted," Velon whispered. "These coordinates in the response, they're from uncharted space, from the direction of the Forbidden Zone." Every Meridian knew about the Forbidden Zone, the region of space containing worlds deemed too harsh and dangerous for contact. The Galactic Concord had cordoned off the entire sector centuries ago, classifying any intelligence arising there as potentially volatile and destabilizing to interstellar peace. These Deathworlders were beings evolved under constant threat, with bodies built for violence and minds shaped by endless struggle. "Recall the signal," Nilara ordered quickly. "Redirect it to Concord Central." "I can't," Velon's voice cracked. "It's already been received by someone or something in the Forbidden Zone." A new message appeared on Velon's console. Simple, direct mathematical code that translated across language barriers. "Distrieses Sijin al recivid. Coordinates Coven Firamid. Hold the position. Respawn Z inbound." Who would respond from the Forbidden Zone? Nilara had no answer. She watched the approaching ships, now close enough to see the scorch marks on their hulls and the strange symbols painted on their sides. "Captain," Salmon called out in panic, "the smaller crafts have attached to our hull. They're cutting through." The raiders, for that's what they were, breached the luminous inquiry in 6 different locations simultaneously. The crew, with no concept of self-defense, could only watch in horror as the boarders stormed through their ship. The attackers were bipedal, muscular beings with rough, mottled skin and respirators covering their faces. They carried energy weapons and began herding the terrified Meridians into groups. "Take whatever tech you can salvage," growled the lead raider in a harsh, translator-augmented voice, "and grab the blue ones. Vorex slave markets pay premium for exotic species." Nilara was dragged to the bridge along with her senior officers, forced to watch as the raiders systematically pillaged their vessel. The peaceful Meridians had nothing to offer but compliance. 20 minutes until we're fully loaded," announced one of the raiders. "Then we scuttle this crystal trash heap." "Captain," whispered Velon, "long-range sensors are detecting something. Multiple objects approaching at incredible speed." The lead raider noticed the console alert and snarled, "What's that?" "You called for help." He struck Velon across the face, sending the officer sprawling. "Doesn't matter. No Concord patrol could possibly get here in time." But the approaching objects weren't Concord vessels. Commander Ilingaray stood on the bridge of the UES Dauntless, flagship of Rapid Response Battle Group 7. At 45, with obsidian hair streaked with silver and eyes that had seen too much combat, she commanded respect from everyone in the United Earth Federation Navy. "Status report," she ordered, her voice calm despite the tension that hung in the air. Lieutenant Commander Jamal Harris looked up from his station. "We're at maximum FTL, Commander. ETA to distress coordinates is 18 minutes. The Intrepid, Valkyrie, and Halberd are maintaining formation." Reyes nodded. Her battle group, 4 heavy cruisers with full complement, represented one of Earth's most formidable rapid response forces, and right now they were breaking humanity's most solemn promise: to remain within the boundaries of their space. The distress call had come in 6 hours earlier, a signal clearly not meant for human receivers. It had been routed through a subspace node intersection, an astronomical fluke that directed it to human communication arrays. The signal used unfamiliar encoding, but the mathematics of distress were universal. "Are we seriously crossing the Arcturus line for aliens we've never even met?" asked Captain Miguel Santos, her XO, quietly enough that only she could hear. Rice fixed him with a steely gaze. "We received a distress call. Maritime law predates space travel, Captain. We help those in need, regardless of origin, even if it means violating the quarantine." The United Earth Council won't be pleased. I'll deal with the politicians, Rise replied. I'd rather explain why I helped than why I didn't. Santos nodded, knowing better than to argue further. Commander Rise had made her decision the moment the distress call had been verified as genuine. Humanity's history with the rest of the galaxy was non-existent. For over a century, they had detected signals and energy signatures from beyond the Arcturus line, clear evidence of an interstellar community that had deliberately excluded Earth. Hundreds of greeting messages had been sent toward the silent regions of space. None had ever been answered. The conclusion was obvious. Humanity had been quarantined. Earth, a world of extreme weather, shifting continents, and evolutionary pressure that produced predators and prey in endless variety, had forged humans into something the galactic community apparently feared. So humanity had expanded in other directions, building their own interstellar presence while respecting the unspoken boundary. Until today. Commander, called Lieutenant Park from Communications, I've managed a partial translation of the distress signal. It appears to be from a species calling themselves the Meridians. They're under attack by raiders. The visuals show the Meridians have no weapons whatsoever on their vessels. Rays moved to Park's station, watching the fragmented visuals from the distress call. The attacking ships were clearly designed for intimidation and violence, while the Meridian vessel looked like an artist's sculpture, beautiful but utterly defenseless. Tactical assessment, Lieutenant Kovacs. Rides asked. The tactical officer studied her displays. Based on the energy signatures in the distress call, the raiders have mid-level directed energy weapons and minimal shielding. Nothing our battle group can't handle. But Commander, she hesitated. These readings suggest the Meridian ship has literally no defensive capabilities at all, not even basic shields. Rice frowned. Who would venture into space without defenses? A species that's never needed them, Santos suggested. That would explain the quarantine. They're keeping the predators away from the sheep. And now we're crossing that line, Rice said quietly. Well, if they want to see predators, let's show them what Earth's wolves do when they find wolves preying on sheep. She turned to address the bridge crew. Battle stations. Weapons hot but containment protocols in effect. We want those raiders disabled, not vaporized. I need prisoners for questioning. Throughout the 4 ships, klaxons sounded as crews rushed to their combat positions. Marines checked weapons and loaded into drop shuttles. Medical prepared for casualties. Final approach, Commander, announced the helmsman. Dropping out of FTL in 3, 2, 1. The darkness of normal space erupted around them as 4 Earth warships, bristling with weapons and armored against the harshness of space and war alike, arrived at the scene of the attack. Contact. Kovacs called out. 3 hostile vessels surrounding the Meridian ship, multiple boarding craft attached. They're active, and, Commander, they're turning to engage. Reyes smiled grimly. Let's introduce ourselves. Deathworlders to the rescue. The Vorix raider captain stared at his tactical display in disbelief. 4 massive vessels had just appeared from nowhere, their sudden arrival sending electromagnetic pulses cascading across his sensors. These weren't the elegant, crystalline ships of the Galactic Concord. These were something else entirely, angular, armored behemoths bristling with what could only be weapon systems. Unidentified vessels on attack vector. His tactical officer shouted. Energy signatures off the charts. On the bridge of the luminous Inquiry, Captain Nilara and her crew watched in stunned silence as the new arrivals positioned themselves between their crippled vessel and the Vorix raiders. The largest of these unknown ships broadcast a message on all frequencies, a simple mathematical sequence that translated across languages. Stand down. Release hostages. Prepare to be boarded. The lead Vorix raider laughed harshly. More fools coming to die. Target their engines and... His orders were cut short as brilliant blue-white beams lanced out from the Earth vessels, striking with surgical precision. The Vorix ship's forward weapon arrays vanished in explosions of superheated metal and plasma. What in the void? The raider stumbled as his ship shuddered. Return fire. Launch all combat drones. The raiders' vessels belched forth swarms of automated fighters, while their remaining weapons blazed against the human ships. But their energy weapons splashed harmlessly against advanced shields that glowed faintly blue with each impact. Their shields are holding, the Vorac's tactical officer reported, panic creeping into his voice. Our weapons aren't even degrading them. The human response was swift and overwhelming. Point defense systems on the Earth vessels activated, creating a web of interceptor fire that shredded the drone swarm in seconds. Then the UES Dauntless opened up with its main batteries again, this time targeting the raiders' engines and weapon systems with precise, measured strikes. They're not trying to destroy us. The Vorac's captain realized with growing horror. They're disabling us deliberately. On the Dauntless, Commander Rice watched the battle unfold with clinical detachment. Status of the civilian vessel. Life signs stable but numerous biosignatures grouped in the cargo areas, reported Science Officer Chen. Consistent with hostage situations, the raiders have congregated there as well. Rice nodded. Lieutenant Commander Kovacs finished disabling those raider vessels. No critical damage. I want them recoverable. Major Diaz, prepare your Marines for boarding actions. Priority is hostage recovery. Throughout the Dauntless and her sister ships, armored figures moved with practiced efficiency toward drop shuttles and boarding tubes. The United Earth Federation Marines, descendants of Earth's most elite fighting forces, had trained for exactly this scenario. Major Isabella Diaz checked her powered combat armor one final time. Remember, people, we're the first humans these aliens will ever meet. Professional and disciplined at all times. Subdue the hostiles. Secure the civilians. Minimal collateral damage. The boarding shuttles launched, protected by fighter escorts as they crossed the void between the human battle group and the damaged vessels. Some headed for the disabled raider ships, while Diaz led the team targeting the Meridian vessel. Breach in 30 seconds, announced the shuttle pilot. Diaz activated the comm system that would broadcast through her helmet's external speakers in the mathematical universal language. This is Major Isabella Diaz of the United Earth Federation. We are responding to your distress call. Hostages remain calm. Hostiles stand down or be neutralized. The boarding shuttle attached to the luminous Inquiry's hull with a metallic clang. Diaz's squad deployed breaching charges calibrated to cut through the crystalline material without causing explosive decompression. Breach successful. Go, go, go. The Marines poured through the opening, weapons ready, their armor sensors highlighting friend from foe. They found themselves in a cargo bay transformed into an improvised prison. Dozens of blue-skinned, four-armed aliens huddled together in terror. Around them stood 8 Vorac's raiders, weapons aimed at their captives. Final warning, Diaz announced, her squad forming a semicircle of armored, weaponized intent. Release the hostages. The lead raider snarled something untranslatable and fired his weapon. The energy blast struck Diaz's armor and dissipated harmlessly. Before he could fire again, the Major had crossed the distance between them with a speed that seemed impossible for someone in powered armor. Her armored fist connected with the raider's chest, carefully calibrated to incapacitate without killing. The raider flew backward, slamming into a bulkhead and crumpling unconscious to the deck. The display of force and the ineffectiveness of their weapons against the human armor was enough. The remaining raiders dropped their weapons, raising their hands in surrender. Similar scenes played out across all 4 vessels. Within 20 minutes, all hostiles were contained, and the Meridian crew was being treated by human medical personnel. Captain Nilara, Diaz asked, approaching the still stunned Meridian officer. Her translator was working overtime to process the alien language, cobbled together from the mathematical primers in the distress signal. Yes, Nilara managed, her iridescent skin cycling through colors of confusion and fear. Who are you? What are you? We're humans, Diaz replied simply, removing her helmet to reveal a face that had evolved on a world of constant challenge and change. "We received your distress call. I've been asked to escort you to our command vessel to meet with our commander." The Meridian captain followed in stunned silence, boarding the human shuttle alongside her senior officers. Through the viewport, she could see the Vorrex raiders being led in restraints onto different shuttles. The shuttle bay of the Dauntless was a shock to the Meridian sensibilities, orderly yet utilitarian, clearly designed for function over form. Everything about the human vessel spoke of readiness for conflict. Commander Reyes was waiting when they disembarked. "Captain Nilara, I'm Commander Elena Reyes of the United Earth Federation. Welcome aboard the UES Dauntless." Nilara's translator struggled with the unfamiliar language, but the meaning came through. You're from the Forbidden Zone," she said finally. "Deathworlders." Reyes's expression remained neutral. "Is that what you call us? Interesting. We've been aware for some time that something has been keeping us isolated from the wider galactic community." The Concord established the quarantine for everyone's protection. Velon blurted out, then shrank back when Reyes's gaze shifted to him. "Protection from what?" Reyes asked quietly. "From us." Before Nilara could answer, alarms blared throughout the Dauntless. Lieutenant Commander Harris rushed over. "Commander, long-range sensors have detected a large group of vessels approaching at high speed. Energy signatures match the raiders, but these are much bigger. A lot more of them, too." "How many?" Reyes asked. 17 capital ships and escort vessels," Harris replied grimly. "They'll be here in under 10 minutes. Nilara's skin paled. "The Vorrex Armada. They must have called for reinforcements before you arrived. Commander, you don't understand. Even Concord peacekeepers avoid direct engagement with a force that size." Reyes considered this information, then turned to Harris. "Alert the battle group. Combat spread formation Delta. And get me Admiral Joe on secure channel." After a brief, tense conversation with her superior, Reyes returned her attention to the Meridians. "Captain Nilara, we have two options. We can retreat with you to Earth space, leaving your vessel behind, or we can stand and fight. The choice is yours." Nilara stared at the human in disbelief. "You would fight against such overwhelming odds? For aliens you've never met before today." "We received a distress call," Reyes said simply, as if that explained everything. "And running from bullies isn't our way." The Meridian captain looked at her officers, then back at Reyes. "Our ship cannot be moved quickly. The damage is too severe, but I cannot ask you to sacrifice yourselves for us." Reyes smiled, and for the first time, Nilara glimpsed something truly alien in the human expression, anticipation rather than fear at the prospect of battle. "Sacrificing ourselves isn't the plan, Captain. Harris, get these folks to Observation Deck 3. They should see this." She turned back to the Meridians. "You might learn something about why they call us Deathworlders." From the observation deck, Nilara and her crew watched in awe as the human battle group reconfigured itself. Fighter squadrons launched. Taking up defensive formations, the 4 capital ships moved into what the humans called a spear formation, the Dauntless at the tip with the other 3 creating a triangular base behind it. The Vorrex Armada dropped out of FTL. 17 vessels of various sizes arrayed in an attack formation. Their leader transmitted an ultimatum. Unidentified vessels, abandon the Meridian ship and depart immediately, or be destroyed. Commander Reyes's response was broadcast on all frequencies. "This is Commander Elena Reyes of the United Earth Federation. The Meridians are under our protection. Your raiders attacked unprovoked and took hostages in violation of all civilized law. Stand down and prepare to be boarded for war crime processing." The Vorrex commander's laughter echoed through the communication system. "I count 4 ships against our 17. Your bravery is admirable, but foolish. This is your final warning." "You miscounted," Reyes replied. At that moment, space rippled behind the human formation as 30 more Earth vessels dropped out of FTL. the rest of Earth's Seventh Fleet, summoned by Rise's conversation with Admiral Zhu. As I was saying, Rise continued calmly, "The Meridians are under our protection. Stand down." What followed was unlike anything in recorded galactic Concord history. The Vorx Armada, infamous for their ruthlessness, launched a full attack. The human fleet met them with coordinated precision that spoke of a species intimately familiar with warfare. Human fighters darted between capital ships with impossible agility, their pilots pulling maneuvers that would kill most other species. Earth warships absorbed punishment that should have crippled them, returning fire with devastating effect. Marines conducted daring boarding actions, capturing key Vorx vessels from within. And through it all, the humans displayed a trait the Meridians had never witnessed before. They protected the weak at cost to themselves. Multiple Earth vessels took hits meant for the crippled Luminous Inquiry, their captains placing their ships in harm's way deliberately to shield the defenseless. Within 40 minutes, it was over. The Vorx Armada was neutralized. Most vessels captured, some destroyed when their commanders chose destruction over surrender. The human fleet had suffered damage but no losses. "I've never seen anything like it," Nilura whispered, her skin shifting through colors of awe and gratitude. "This is why they kept us quarantined, isn't it?" Commander Rise asked, joining them on the observation deck. "They feared what we'd do if we got out." Nilura couldn't deny it. The Galactic Concord believes that truly advanced civilizations outgrow violence. Deathworlders, species from harsh planets, are considered dangerous and unpredictable. The quarantine was established to protect peaceful species from those still, evolutionarily burdened with aggression. Rays gazed out at the stars. Yet here we are, using that aggression to protect the peaceful. Perhaps your Concord has confused the capacity for violence with the desire for it. In the days that followed, emergency signals were sent to Galactic Concord Central, not by the Meridians, but by Commander Rise herself. She invited Concord representatives. The humans surprised the Meridians again by refusing any payment or technology transfers for their rescue. "We answered a distress call," became their simple refrain, as if risking their lives for unknown aliens was the most natural thing in the universe. As Nilura prepared to depart with the Concord diplomatic vessel that eventually arrived, she sought out Commander Reyes one final time. "I've been authorized to inform you that the Galactic Concord is reconsidering the quarantine of Earth," she said. "Your actions have challenged many of our assumptions." Reyes nodded. "Good. Though I suspect will still make some of your people nervous." "Without doubt," Nilura admitted. "You are predators, after all." "Yes," Reyes agreed. "But every ecosystem needs its predators, Captain. Without them, the balance fails. Perhaps the galaxy's ecosystem is no different." Nilura's skin rippled with colors of thoughtful consideration. "The Deathworlders came when we called, even by accident. The Concord would have been too late. Perhaps there is wisdom in having protectors who understand violence rather than just philosophers who abhor it." "Maybe that's why your signal found its way to us," Rise suggested. "The universe has its own balance." As the Meridian departed, she looked back at the human fleet, vessels of war that had chosen to be vessels of rescue. Deathworlders, yes. But perhaps that wasn't the insult the Concord had always considered it. Perhaps it was simply a description of the unique perspective a species gained when forged in adversity. The understanding that strength existed to protect, not dominate, that those who could fight should stand for those who could not, and that answering a call for help wasn't extraordinary, but the most basic obligation of any sentient being. The universe was bigger today than it had been before that distress call was sent, and Nilura suspected it was better for it.